No nation in the world holds rugby as close to its core identity as Wales. So, the recent decline in Welsh rugby is described as an existential crisis, a devastating blow to their proud heritage. It's unprecedented to see the Welsh team struggling to win. In fact, Wales didn't win a single match this year, the worst losing streak they've witnessed in their 143-year history. Mediocre performances on the field have left the nation frustrated. So, this is the story of the downfall of Wales. A team that has shown its greatness many times on the field, but with their performances of late, one has to ask what really went wrong. To answer this question, we look at the heights of Welsh rugby, from the third place finish in the '87 RWC to the current abysmal state.
By Edwards, can he score? It would be a miracle if he could. He may well get there, and he has.
Now, the Welsh have produced some of world rugby's finest. The great Gareth Edwards, considered among the best in history. Recently, speed merchant Shane Williams, a must-have in your highlight reel. Giant lock forward Alun Wyn Jones, who holds the world record for most international caps at a staggering 170. 170 caps? Most of us at Clutch Nation haven't even played 170 games, not to mention winning 3 Grand Slams, 5 Six Nations titles, attending 4 World Cups and 12 caps as a British and Irish Lion. Yeah, you heard that right, 4 World Cups, that's 16 years bro. And one of the best fly halves of the Northern Hemisphere, and current rugby pundit Dan Biggar, whose 15-year career with 112 caps and more than 600 points made the Welsh nation proud, and the list goes on.
Biggar, the kicking option for Hadley Parkes to chase, and Hadley Parkes wins the chase.
Then there's my own personal favourite, loose man Colin Jarvis, who had the distinction of one time being the highest test scorer for a forward. In the inaugural World Cup, Wales would finish in 3rd place, a feat they almost repeated in 2019 with tough matchups against France, the Box and the ABs. More on that in a bit. However, since then, cracks began to show, leading up to the near-complete destruction of the Welsh game. Although things did look up in 2024, I'm joking of course, last year they had their worst of all time, and those cracks are now wider than the Severn Bridge. So who's at fault for this disaster? Well, let's take a look at the grim facts that caused their demise. Now, before we go any further, please like and subscribe, it really helps out our channel. So let's start on a positive note, shall we? And head to the 2019 RWC in Japan. The Welsh were touted to be a surprise package. Under Warren Gatland, Wales made the semis in style. The Dragons stepped up immensely to the task, winning all 4 Pool D matches, including a memorable win over the Wallabies, running out 29-25 victors. A lot owing to Dan Biggar, who put the first points up with a drop goal just 36 seconds into the game. It was an electrifying match, with Gareth Davies being named man of the match after his Will Henier intercept try at half-time. That tournament saw phenomenal performances from the boys, with Alun Wyn Jones leading the charge as captain and heartbeat. Winger Josh Adams scored tries for fun during their time in Japan and finished as the competition's top scorer. There were also some mega tournament minutes from fly half Dan Biggar, who showed kicking prowess, composure and leadership as the Dragons romped all the way to the semi-finals with a narrow 19-16 loss to eventual winners, the Springboks. Wales were frightfully unlucky that the in-form Liam Williams was injured in training ahead of that semi-final, as he'd been outstanding on both the wing and in the number 15 shirt all tournament. The boys were heartbroken, but Wales would return home as heroes, having matched their best ever World Cup performance comparable to '87. But despite the smiles back home, things would begin to sour. Gatland left the Welsh setup just after the World Cup, having left an indelible mark on a nation. The Dragons enjoyed one of their most successful periods during this time, with 3 Six Nations Grand Slams, 4 Six Nations titles, and even a brief stint at world number 1.
Biggar, kick
This, plus a staggering 57% win rate for the Wales coach, a 14-game win streak between 2018 and 2019, plus outstanding performances across 3 World Cups, cemented the coach's name in Welsh law.
A lot more open last week, right old scrap this week. And Wales, the response that they wanted to see after last week's hurt, the end of the winning streak.
In stepped Wayne Pivac to take the helm, but it didn't work out quite as well. Now, under Pivac's tenure, Wales experienced a mix of highs and lows. 2020 began with a promising victory in Pivac's first international match against Italy during the Six Nations, but managed only 2 more wins throughout the year, finishing 5th in both the Six Nations and the Autumn Nations Cup. The following year brought greater success, with Wales securing their 4th Six Nations title of the decade, though they narrowly missed out on a Grand Slam after a heartbreaking injury time loss to France in Paris. This served as another reminder for fans that even in the throes of success, Wales could break a heart like the best of them. The autumn saw further challenges as Wales lost to New Zealand and South Africa before ending the series on a high with wins against Fiji and Australia. Wales endured a disappointing 2022 Six Nations campaign, finishing 5th with their only victory coming at home against Scotland. Things went from bad to worse with a shocking 22-21 defeat to Italy, marking their first ever home loss to the Italians. During the summer, Wales toured South Africa, where they narrowly lost the opening test 32-29 due to a late penalty by Damian Willemse. However, they did create major history the following week by securing their first ever win on South African soil with a gritty 13-12 victory in Bloemfontein. The Springboks, however, claimed the series 2-1 after winning the final test. There were moments where Wales got results and had performances, but they were found wanting in consistency. The Autumn Nations series in 2022 would be another failure, including throwing away a 21-point lead against a depleted Wallabies team amidst 2 yellow cards. The Wallabies scored 26 unanswered points in the last 20 minutes of the game. If last week's shock defeat to Georgia was bad, this was worse. Wayne Pivac's time was up and he got the red card.
That Warren Gatland is to return as Wales head coach. Wayne Pivac has left his position.
Wales once again turned to Gatland to reverse their fortunes, taking charge ahead of the 2023 Six Nations. Despite his return, the team reached another low point when players considered the unthinkable, striking before their 3rd Six Nations match against England. Captain AWJ put it clearly, "It's hard to deny, but it's the very last option." The players had real concerns with contracts frozen by the Professional Rugby Board, facing uncertain futures and pay cuts from the COVID period that had remained unaddressed. The players didn't strike, but the tension in the squad saw them win just 1 of the 5 matches against Italy, no less. Welsh rugby was all over the place in 2023, offering an odd glimpse into the topsy-turvy nature of where the Dragons were. Surprisingly, the team looked pretty handy during the World Cup in France, reaching the quarter-final stage, and thrilling Welsh hearts when they battered a hapless Eddie Jones, Australia, 46. They would lose in the quarters to Argentina, a game in which they were pre-match favourites. Dan Biggar put the Welsh ahead early in what would be his last game, and they were 10-0 up at one stage early on. Ill discipline and a lack of cohesiveness, our kind way of saying it was a poor showing. Now, shortly after the World Cup, Halfpenny, Biggar, AWJ and Jonathan Davies would hang up their boots. A huge shift for Wales's future with so much talent leaving the pitch. Yeah, it's pretty hard to replace that. This exodus only added more fuel to the Welsh funeral pyre, as we would see in 2024. The 2024 12-match losing streak was shocking for all rugby fans to see, and even more painful for the Welsh nation. During those 12 games, they would see Australia get World Cup revenge with 3 comfortable victories. The Flying Fijians beat the Welsh in Cardiff for the first time. The 2 games that followed was completed with back-to-back losses from Australia and South Africa.
They looked like a team absolutely sort of bereft of ideas at the end, didn't they? The confidence looked shot. And the honest answer is I don't know where the team goes from here, with South Africa coming to town next week.
The Aussies even beat the Welsh at the Principality, the best rugby stadium in the world, with one man less for 60 minutes of the game. Wales were at their lowest ebb, and the Springboks just rubbed salt in the wound. Warren Gatland's return hasn't produced the expected turnaround. Neil Jenkins, clearly a dreamer with tricky eyesight, said the following: "We've done 80% of things right, as it's the other 20% we need to get right." What game were you watching, mate? Now, every fallen empire has a story of leadership mistakes, and Welsh rugby's tale runs deep. The figures who shaped Welsh rugby's destiny created a complex web of so-called solutions that led us here today. Now, enough has been said in the media on the administrative woes, so let's play rugby and do our talking on the field. As to the immediate future, stop the bleeding, win games, and this will start filling up the stadiums again. Simple, no need for annual general meeting, just win games. This will help keep players from moving to wealthier English, French and Japanese clubs. So now that's the primary goal, it's incredible to be thinking in the not too distant future, Wales could be fighting trying to stop a 16-game losing streak in the 2025 Six Nations. Yes, the road ahead for Welsh rugby is uncertain, but the indomitable Welsh spirit is too hard to hold down, so I don't think it'll be too long before Wales can find their footing and rise in the ranks once again. Underestimate them at your peril. You have been warned. Now, we hope you enjoyed our take on the decline of Wales rugby. Let us know your thoughts on what Wales needs to do to get back to winning. As always, thanks for watching. Please smash the like button, subscribe, and make sure to leave your comments downstairs. Stay tuned.